I am thrilled that I'm finally releasing this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. It features my incredible brother, the amazing Andy Hardy. And without him, this podcast would never have happened. He helped me not just with inspiration to do the podcast, but he also helped me with the technical side of things. So again, without him, this podcast doesn't exist. So stay tuned and enjoy. We have a lot of fun anecdotes for you about our childhood and, just other random things. But we also talk about being an entrepreneur. We talk about getting out of the IFP cult. We talk about how difficult it can be, but that it's very much doable. And we talk about loving yourself, which I think is incredibly important and a lesson that we had to learn the hard way. So check this out. Enjoy this episode featuring, again, my incredible brother, Andy Hardy. My name's Stuart. This is my brother, Andrew.
Stuart.
No, you're Andrew. I knew he was going to fuck this up. And this is the Not Your Mother's Podcast.
Not Your Mother's Podcast.
It's going to be lit.
Oh, yeah.
That is good.
Oh, it is.
So,
is that your first
as
taste?
you've seen, and people, yeah, it is, and people have made fun of me and called it cheap whiskey. It's not the most expensive. I like Jameson Caskmates, but this Black Barrel is just as good, if not better.
I think
that's
it's better.
really good. I think it might be. We'll see by
I
the end
think
of
it
this
has a
podcast.
little more class than like Caskmates.
Well, it's $10 more of class.
No,
That's
I
what
think
it is.
I think it has a more refined palate than the Caskmates. The Caskmates
Oh,
is
you're so fancy.
Jesus.
And you and your palates.
Yeah.
I wanted to start off this episode, and I'm going to ambush Andrew. He doesn't know I'm going to say this, but
Ambush away.
I'm trying to be serious. He doesn't want me to do it. But Andrew has been a huge encouragement in so many ways. And to be honest, I was kind of contemplating what I wanted to say before we started, and I realized, will you stop? This is the Hardy. This is the Hardy Bunch.
You had me write dicks on there.
You wrote dicks on there.
Yeah, I said. I brought it up, and you're like, "Well, dicks always comes up. You might as well write it." So I'm just looking.
I don't think that's how that conversation went at all. All right, let me be serious. Damn it. So, Andrew, I want to say a year and a half ago. Let's to be fair, this guy's been traveling all day. He's got a video shoot coming up. He's gonna be busy as fuck tomorrow. He's not gonna get enough sleep tonight. He's had plenty of whiskey already, so he's just kind of yeah, probably. And now you're gonna down all that shit.
Really What's wrong?
I don't know. This may be the shortest episode. I don't know, because we may be going to the fucking hospital.
Okay, I have to stop looking at dicks.
That'll do it. This guy.
Okay, all right. So a year ago.
It's probably more than that. It's probably more like 2 years ago. Andrew started putting out video content, and it was really good. And I don't want to... No, it was, and it is. You still do a lot of video content, but like you're doing your own... vlog type content, and I was really inspired by it. No, like you used, if I remember correctly, Casey Neistat was one of your inspirations, a big one, and I wouldn't say you ripped off any of his work, but you definitely modeled some of your elements after what he did.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed watching Casey, but when I saw my brother doing the kind of work that Andrew was doing, I was just really, and this was way before I started the podcast, I just thought, I'm just gonna power through this. But I saw when I saw him putting out that content, I thought, man, this is inspiring. Like I not necessarily like I want to do this, but I think I can do this, and you did really good work. I was very impressed. I don't know what he's acting like this for. At any rate, I will say right now, there's a lot of people that have influenced and helped this podcast. I don't know what is wrong with him. Go walk over there and come back, because I need to finish this. So, there's a lot of people, Trenton Wiggis, Josh Owens giving me a lot of help. A lot of other people have helped me, but this podcast 100% wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Andrew. There's just no way. And then I mean that in all seriousness. On top of that, when I went to set it up, when I set up everything as far as the channels and how you guys get it on iTunes, and I believe it's on Stitcher as well, all those channels, when I set all those channels up, Andrew was the one that made sure that all happened and helped me set up the RSS feed, helped me set up YouTube. So any of you that have enjoyed the content on this channel, and I'm not yelling at you, but you owe Andrew. I owe Andrew. We all owe him for everything he did to make this possible. So I'm hoping he comes back on screen, at some point. But while he steps away, I am serious. He has had a very long day, and we have a lot to talk about. There is dicks written up here as a joke between me and him, and there's there's a lot of elements here that are unseen to you all as to why he's losing it, but I think he'll be all right. We'll get on some serious subjects and we'll stay the course. Are you ready to return, sir?
I think so.
All right, great. So, anyways, I will say this: I don't think that was theatrics at all. I think he's just super spent. But Hardys, we're not really good at taking compliments. We shoot them down left and right. We suck at it. So there's that. So, Andrew? What is your? It doesn't need to be of me, but like I've only ever had Mommy on, and that was the first episode, and that aired almost a year ago.
Holy shit!
Yeah, September 22nd was the first episode, and we're filming this on August 21st. So it's been almost a year. Yeah, next month.
Wow.
So I haven't had any other family members on, and so I want to talk about our family a little bit, and just
They're
growing
crazy.
up. Yeah, we all are. Growing up the way we did, and it doesn't have to be. We'll talk about some IFB shit, but just what would you say is? Well, I'll lead off. So I remember there's a lot. Of course, we have a lot of memories together. How far apart in age are we? I'm 32.
You're 32.
And in March you turned. Doesn't know.
What is
28?
this year? 28 or 18? Yeah.
2018.
So
28.
28.
We're 4 years apart. Well, 5 years ish. Because in a couple of months I'll be 33.
Yeah, it's like
but
4.5 years.
4.5. And you were born in Winnemac, right?
Mm-hmm.
You and Lydia and Leah were born in Winnemac. I feel like all three of y'all were born.
In
I was born in Hammond. I was born at St. Mary's in Hammond or St. Margaret's.
Were you blessed by Dr. Highlands?
Yeah, probably more than I wanted to be.
Oh.
But I remember of course we have a lot of memories of whether it's throwing dirt clods at each other as grenades in the backyard in Indiana or trying to go down. Remember that hill in the woods?
Yeah, it was only
tiny.
like 3 feet tall. We always like broke our necks every year.
It was terrible.
It was like a black diamond slope.
Yeah. It was Tiffany Duncan that I had on, and she said, I couldn't believe how jazzed you guys were about that hill. It was nothing.
Great.
It was like 3 feet.
Well, I think we spent most of our time like sabotaging each other, which is what made it so.
That made
so
it exciting.
Very,
we had
difficult.
a teepee out there too. We built a legit teepee.
We had a teepee. Do you remember the Millennium Falcon? You don't remember Lydia doesn't remember the Millennium Falcon.
Well, hang on. Wait. Now, that wasn't the aluminum trash pile that we should have gotten tetanus from.
It might have been on it. There were 2 fallen trees that kind of formed a corner, and we had a bunch of old computer keyboards that we wedged into the tree trunk.
I remember that wasn't so. The backyard. It was a rectangular lot. Yeah. It was a rectangular lot, and then we would go into the woods behind our lot. And the hill was over here, and the Millennium Falcon was over here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because one night I left something out there, and we got briars, we got thorns, and made that part of the part of the fence around it. Do you remember that? We had a lot of thorns that worked in.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of thorns in those woods. But I remember one night, I don't know what I left out there. I know I lost a pocket knife, Grandpa Lucas's pocket knife I lost out there. But I left something out there that
if we went back there with the metal detector, we'd probably find like 3,000 pocket knives.
Yeah, easily. But I remember one night, I don't remember what it was I'd left, but it couldn't get wet for whatever reason. And I was out there. I feel like I ran out with my bare feet or something. I'm in the woods, in the rain, in the dark, just like, I can't find it. I was really upset. I don't remember what it was I was looking for. Anyways, I know we have a lot of memories of each other, but I remember one of the most vivid ones because there's so much pain with it. Was when you get hit with something and you're outside in the cold and it hurts so much worse.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember we would have those out of poison sumac we would make swords, and then we were like, why are we all breaking out? Because we would carve and get just sumac covered.
Right.
So we had a bunch of...
Oh, you made lightsabers, too.
Yeah, that's what they were. Lightsabers, samurai swords. We would put designs on them from the bark. I remember that. And so we had... One was laying around. And so it was like one of the neighbor kids, probably Cody, I was playing with, and you wanted to come along, and I kept shooing you away. And you were just like, no, I'm coming. And I was like, no, you're not. Fuck you. Well, we didn't say I don't think I even knew what the fuck word was then. Did you?
The F word?
Yeah.
If I heard it, I would have had no idea what
it was. We were so... think about that. We were so sheltered, we never even heard it.
If I had heard it, I wouldn't have known to be offended.
Yeah, you would
have been like...
Okay, well, fuck you too. Okay.
Well, the first time I heard, like, when we lived in the trailer in Arnold, I was with DJ outside, our neighbor. And he's like, screw you.
We had a neighbor named DJ?
Yeah. You don't remember DJ? His dad was a Vietnam vet with a long beard, and he had a 57 pickup, and he was always out there hammering on it in the middle of the night.
No, I don't remember
any of that? Okay, anyway, so DJ, he was chubby. He was actually a pretty decent human being. You know, we tried dragging him to church all the time.
Of course. Poor him.
We were out one Saturday morning. We were all up, and we're in his backyard digging for worms because he was going fishing with his dad. Yeah. And... he's like, we're just whatever, and we were doing something, and he's just like, oh, screw you, know, whatever. And I didn't know what it meant. Like, I mean, this is a greeting as far as I'm concerned. So,
good morning, screw you, yeah.
So, Daddy walks out the back door, and he's like, hey, come in for breakfast, blah, blah. So I come in, we sit down for pancakes.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Mama hands me a pancake, she gives me pancakes on a plate. I just look at her like, screw you.
Oh, no.
Tell you about put me through a window.
I was gonna ask how that went over. I
had no idea what I had just done.
Good morning. Thank you for the pancake. Screw you, mother. How are you this morning? What the fuck did you say to me? That's awesome.
Anyway, so yeah, that's how.
That's terrific. That's a Baptist introduction to a naughty word. At any rate, I remember I was on another note.
Yes.
I was trying to play, me and the neighborhood were trying to go play whatever we were going to do, and I was trying to leave Andrew out, and Andrew wasn't having it. And Andrew came after me with one of those wooden sticks, and I did not also have a lightsaber to defend myself. And man, you caught my hand, you caught it good.
Oh, really?
And I have
when you have nightmares about hurting people.
Really? Well, there you go. There's another one. No, you whacked my hand good, and I was just like, you know how when you cry but not intentionally, like it hurts so bad that just like, yeah, man, that started happening. And I don't remember how that was resolved. I'm sure I tattled on you for that, but man, that shit hurt.
You know, you put an arrow in my arm.
What?
You don't remember that?
Was it one of our homemade arrows?
Yeah, remember we made bows and arrows out of everything. And we would just stand. I don't know. We didn't get it from Robin Hood because they didn't.
At each other?
It was just
like a duel.
Like yeah. So basically, like if you've ever seen the old Robin Hood, you remember Robin Hood movie?
Yeah.
And they stand and they, but they're shooting at targets. Well, we didn't have targets. So we shot at each other.
Oh my god, I don't remember.
Well, no. So we're shooting at each other and whatever. And like I had given up, and I was walking over by you, and you weren't finished. You shot me right in the arm.
That's terrific.
It hurt.
Sorry. This was in the Blue House, yes?
Yeah.
Not on the hill, the Blue House. Yeah, that was the one we were at the longest. So, to give you a little synopsis, and then correct me if I'm wrong, because I would not be surprised if I missed something. We grew up in Knox, Indiana was the township we grew up in. Our dad pastored in Ober, Indiana. Mm-hmm. Population, I wanted to say it was like 100 or something like that.
Oh, like 83, but like it was probably like 22 people by the time we left.
Yeah,
like,
everybody
for sure. Died and nobody went.
Yeah, there was a lot of old people there. And that's where we were. That's Andrew was born when we were there. I was born within a year before we moved there. I'm the oldest. Oh, so it's me, then Leah, and then Andrew, and then Lydia's the baby. There's 4 of us. And for those of you that don't know us, that's the Hardy Kids. Yeah. Us 4, no more. And
possibly more. We know.
Yeah, I'll have to get with Dad about that. Just kidding. But we lived there for 14 and a half years. I know because I was 14 and a half when we moved. So maybe more like 14 years. We lived there for about 14 years. And then we moved to Missouri, Arnold, Missouri. And my dad was a pastor in Indiana. Then we moved to Arnold, Missouri. He was an assistant pastor. And I have a lot of good memories of both of those places. Everywhere we live, I have good memories. But I think I have a lot of good memories from Indiana, Missouri, just because we were there longer. than anywhere else. And we were there, I want to say, Missouri about 5 years.
2000, like 2006, 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
So
and then,
it might have been like 5.5, something like that.
Yeah, and then I moved, and then I went to college while we were still in Missouri, but then the family moved to Alabama. We were there for a couple of years. Yeah, I have more to say about that.
Yeah, that's probably when we kind of. I think that's when things like started to.
Went to shit.
Well, things became very clear there.
Yeah.
About how big churches get big and stay big.
Yeah.
And I think then traveling, we moved from there to Illinois, and
we went to
that
Mattoon,
was sort of like a time of denial. And the next 3 or 4 years was sort of a time of denial for, I would say, the core of the family.
What do you mean by time of denial? I don't dispute that.
We were
just
in denial about everything we learned.
All the stuff that was fucked up.
We were all intertwined. We knew what was going on. I don't know how. You were pretty well connected at the time to us still.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were all just in like, oh well, that's one corner. That just is the way they do it down there.
Right. Okay. So it was the cognitive dissonance. Would you say?
Exactly.
We were experiencing that level of like.
We were like, oh, we've seen the light, but instead of being like, oh, this is what things look like in the naked light of day, we're like, that's just what it looks like over there. It might look different over here.
Let's go try this out.
Wait, there's a pile of sand. Let me put my head in it.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't see anything.
I can't see anything. So it's all good. It's all gravy. Not to get too negative there, but I agree with you. Yeah, that makes sense. So we moved to Mattoon, Illinois. I wasn't living at home anymore. We moved to Mattoon and then back to Missouri, and now the bulk of our family is in Missouri now, I guess. Yeah, it would be. Most of us are in Missouri. But anyways, I didn't get to this before, but I'll say it now. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Really,
you're welcome.
You're making time for it, so I'm grateful for that.
But you bought me pizza.
I did buy you pizza.
I'm a whore for pizza.
Yeah, well, same. So, what else? I'm trying to think. What do you have any memories of? And whoever's watching this, if you're still watching, great. If you're like, this guy's just gonna talk about his childhood, that's kind of what I want to do for a while.
What's up, yo?
So if you don't want to hear about my childhood, then I don't blame you. But we'll get to something more interesting sooner or later. But
yeah, you can put timestamps down on the thing.
Yeah, I'm not.
You can do that on Facebook. I'll help you.
Yeah, I'm too lazy.
I will help you.
All right, thanks. I don't want to. So, what would you say? I'm trying to remember because we had so many. Do you remember? Because our movie selection was extremely limited. What we were allowed to watch and what we were in possession of. The movies I remember us having.
Yes and no. If it was, we watched a lot of really bad black and white films.
Oh yeah.
With like some really horrible and like, it was basically
For instance,
when we go to the library and
it had to be G.
Well, not necessarily. Well, so the older films weren't rated.
Right. Do you get away with shit?
Old films, yeah. So the parents would be like, "Oh, this is made before 1950. It must be fine." And then it's like somebody just strips naked, and you're like, "Oh, And
you never saw that coming. 50s too. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, there was a lot of random ass shit that came off the wall.
I agree, but also like our collection at home. Like, we went to the library. We probably went to the library weekly.
But keep in mind, I was 8 by the time we got a VCR player.
Yeah.
Like by the time we had before that was the reel-to-reel. Do you remember the reel-to-reel?
No.
So here's what we used to do, because this is a Christian way.
I don't remember.
We'd have a church event, and they would rent the reel-to-reel, and we'd keep it all week and watch reel-to-reel movies. But we'd be like, it's for the church event, on Saturday night.
Yeah.
But we're sitting in front
all week.
All week we're watching reel-to-reel films.
Out.
Yeah.
Was that in the house on the hill, or no? That must have been.
They may have rented it, but I remember it from the Blue House.
Yeah. Wow. You're right. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. So we started it's funny because I feel like it's weird. Like, you know how they describe someone with an old soul. I feel like when it comes to movies, I feel like I was born in like 1901, and I started watching Buster Keaton.
I have silent movies. I think they're terrific.
And this is something that me and Lydia discussed a lot, and that is the fact that now you've got special effects, you've got so much you can do. There's just a level of acting that's not, there's a new level that is kind of required, but there's a level of acting that you're never going to see again unless you go to a theater because of what it took to bring, so something like, what's that? Cary Grant movie with
Arsenic and Old Lace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's shot. It's set in one room. Like everything takes place in one room.
Yep.
You don't have cars. You don't have traffic. You don't have anything you're interacting with.
There.
It's you.
That's
it's on the
true.
actor.
It is. Yeah.
Everything is on the actor.
That
to
whole
make
movie
that
is
come to
inside
life.
that house. She does leave. His
I mean,
girlfriend
there are
leaves,
moments, but I mean, it's not at all.
The majority of it is all inside that. It's kind of like The Honeymooners.
If you took, I think if you took like probably 50 or 60% of actors today and gave them a set of circumstances like that, they couldn't deliver.
They would, yeah. Well, I mean,
It's
that's why you hear people talk about how tough it is to make it on SNL. Like I'm not saying it's the same, but there's similarities as far as a live audience or a live set and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's hard. That's hard work. So
yeah,
because
what you have is right here. You don't have like today. There wasn't even editing back then. Was taking two pieces of film and putting a piece of tape over them.
Yeah,
that's it. That was all the editing you got. You didn't really get special effects.
No, it was no
you had to
such
make
thing.
it, and so if you look at the original, so really what marks the original, like I'm going off in a tangent.
No, I want to hear this.
What marks the beginning of sci-fi is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I can't wait. I'm waiting.
They won't.
Why won't they? Why won't they remake it? They have remade everything else.
The budget for the machinery. So it just about destroyed Disney.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know this.
If they hadn't made it, like if 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea hadn't made it, well, it took them
How
till
many years
1991 to actually make. Well, to actually make a theme park attraction for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Okay.
When they made it, was open for 4 years before it closed. Really? Because keeping the submarines, it was primarily the air conditioning. There were so many problems with the submarines when they were, because they're submerged. You're putting 10, 15 people in a submersible vehicle, taking it under the water.
I'd love to go on that ride.
Oh, it's beautiful. It was amazing. They had mermaids. They had, it's Disney,
yeah,
so they went all out. It was
bananas. Oh,
but it
awesome.
cost so much. They spent more money and more time with it in downtime.
Well, I think we may not be on the same track. I'm not talking about a ride. I'm talking about a remake.
That's why I'm saying it took them to a place where they had the
like,
money in the bank.
No,
it took them until 1991. It went out in 57.
Mm-hmm.
In 91, they were at the place where they had the money to actually make an attraction for it.
Wow.
Because that's how much how much capital it cost.
Sheesh.
It was
that's nuts.
Movie itself. I would say the movie itself. I'd have to look at inflation, but it's probably over $1 billion, and what it technically cost them. So what happened?
Do you think it has to do with salaries too? Because I'm not saying it didn't have other big actors then, but that's a pretty stacked cast. You've got Kirk Douglas, Peter Lorre, and then who's the captain? Someone too, isn't he? I feel like
the captain is James Mason.
Yeah,
James Mason. Well, Peter Lorre was. He was a B-roll actor at the time.
But he was showing up with Bogart here and there.
Right.
Maltese Falcon and
you had
Casablanca.
James Mason
Those
probably
were before
cost
that,
them
weren't
more
they?
than anybody. Kirk Douglas was pretty young in that movie.
Okay,
so and it's not
quite...
So where they spent a lot of money was when originally Disney wanted the old diving suits.
Yeah.
The ones with the grated glass and the round tops. Well, so they had a company outfit them. They made them. They got to location and
they were shit.
It wasn't the Bahamas. It was somewhere near
Hawaii.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. So the deal here was one of the deals with Disney, as even at the time in '57, the waters of the ocean were so polluted. There were only a few places they were able to actually shoot and get the footage in the kind of clarity that he wanted. So they hauled out. It was somewhere. It wasn't Bermuda. It was one of the island chains down there. It just way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
They get everybody there, put the suits down. The suits have massive leaking issues. They can't shoot with them.
Oh my
so they had to pull everybody back.
Everything.
Then they completely redesigned the suits.
So now you've got to fly or sail everyone back out to location. You shuffle thousands or hundreds of people.
Maybe just 50.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking boats. You're talking about lodging. You're talking so much stuff.
That's a catastrophe.
Right. So bring everything back.
I wonder if that was at the beginning of shooting.
They had to redesign the suits. They actually had an engineer design them, and it actually turned out better in Disney's opinion, a lot of people's opinion. So if you see the suits they don't have any kind of a modern flair, but they really don't harken back to original dive gear.
I love them.
They're really well done. They're different.
They're their own thing.
They are.
Yeah.
They're nothing
I
that
would
really...
say I wouldn't say they're as iconic as flying monkeys, but I'd say they have that nostalgia of like when you see it, you know it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
They're not something you would see. They're not something you'll ever see. You'll never go back in time and see a picture with these suits. And the idea is that Nemo existed before his time. He developed his own technology. He developed everything, and this is what Nemo would have made, which is beautiful.
I love it.
Its own way. So they designed the suits. They get everybody back. They shoot that. That cost them the entire budget of the film. Just those scenes.
Just those. And
just
those
the
are not
scenes.
much of the movie.
No, that's like
the funeral.
15% of the movie.
It's the funeral and what else? I can't
the
even remember
funeral,
what
the
else it is.
hunting sequence. There are a few. Then you have all the submarine shots, which some of those are shot in different places.
Okay.
Some of those were shot on the particular location we're talking about. Some of them were shot in different places.
Wow.
Like Volcania, I believe there's a small island off the coast of Hawaii.
That's where they shot that.
Was shot there for budget reasons.
Yep.
Which is why you'll notice the watercolor changes.
It's different, really.
They had so there were, I think, at least 11 of the I think there were 11 or 15 foot. The remote control subs that you actually see the full subscale in the water. Those were they all existed for key purposes. There is a variety of colors, anywhere from like a rusty green to bright copper.
Yeah, I remember the rusty. Yeah.
And the reason is because in different waters and different lighting, it all looks different. And so,
wow. So you had to have one to make it always look the same.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
There was a lot gone into that. Then you had the studio. You had three different dock sets of the actual ship itself that were shot in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
They were filming the they got the first one out of the way, then they're filming the giant squid sequence.
Yeah.
And it basically was a stuffed animal with curtain or with a wire hanger stuck through it. Awesome. And so, you got Ned Land and like, it's just like, boom,
whack,
boom,
whack,
boom,
whack.
boom. Disney walks in and they're filming this and he's like,
that's not
shut it
work.
down. He's like, like, I need it to look real. And they built the actual, that piece, I believe that was like, so at this point, they're way out of budget. Because they spent
they were already done at the beginning.
Right. They finished before they ever started.
Right.
And, at this point, it just starts to go beyond budget. And he's like, this was our first film. Like, this was our first film. Before this, he had done animations. And he had done, what's the film that's illegal to watch now because it's racist? With a bluebird sitting on my shoulder.
Uncle whatever?
Yeah, whatever. So, I mean, he had done stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this was his first
is it
actual...
Uncle Tom's Cabin, or is that the
movie? I think that's
the book, I think. I don't know.
So this was their first action sci-fi movie.
So Walt was just like, fuck this, like, we're not doing any more of these, probably.
Yeah, he was... no, it wasn't so much that. It was just like, this is what I want to do, and we're going to do it right.
Right, we have to do it right, no matter the expense.
And it didn't matter, and they just pushed all the envelopes, and to be able to even pull, like, it's unimaginable...
For the time,
like to now as a movie maker, like for me, if I were like to make that, I wouldn't know where to start.
I can't imagine.
And I would would want a $20 billion budget. Yeah, if I would do it. And I'm serious because I would need to build the Nautilus to scale, and then you go, are we going to just copy the old one because it's beautiful and wonderful?
Yeah.
And how do I? If you watched it back today, there are a few things that could be better. The animated fish are terrible.
Sure.
But 90% of that movie you couldn't almost improve upon.
Yeah. Well, and
besides just a straight out copy, there's not much you could do.
Yeah, it would have to be Captain Nemo somehow survived and he's still alive.
If I were gonna do a sequel, I wouldn't do a sequel. I would do a Star Wars, and yes, so I guess it would be a prequel.
Yeah.
I would cover the time from Captain Nemo being captured in Switzerland, put into the slave trade, escaping with his men, and building the submarine. That's where I would go.
That'd be
I wouldn't try and remake 20,000.
That's a good idea. So we should talk to Disney and let them know. But do you think it's kind of? Do you think? I'll come back to what we were talking about earlier. But do you think it's kind of a black sheep kind of thing, or however you want to say it, like where you don't bring up 20,000 Leagues around anyone? It's kind of like. We did that once. We're not going back there again. Like, that's the thing that we're not going to do. You think that's probably what it is over there?
I just don't think that it can be... It might be. I think most of the people that feel that way, I think, are dead.
I'm just looking at everything they've redone.
What you go, why wouldn't they redo
Beast
it? I think because every time...
they're going to do the Lion King.
Number one, I think it's money. And number two, I think it's anytime anybody's been serious about it, they've looked at it and been like, other than an outright copy, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Jules Verne didn't write the book
Right.
about
Though he
James
didn't write-
Nimo's
he
life.
didn't- right,
He
didn't
wrote the
write the
book about the
prequel.
submarine.
Right, we already did that
So
shit.
ultimately, I think if someone wants to remake it, they need to start with compiling fan fiction and building a sequence,
That's a good idea.
starting with Nemo
Yeah.
as a
Child,
physicist
adolescent.
in Switzerland.
Yeah, okay.
And so he's a physicist. He's a Switzerland physicist because
Mhm.
he develops the ability to harness nuclear power because
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's a
That's-
nuclear
yeah.
power submarine. So you start out with him, find out why he was captured, who captured him.
Yeah.
Like it was a slaver. You know, we know
Yeah.
that they might have been British. They could have been any number of nationalities. They killed his family,
Tortured
trying
his
to
wife
get
and children to
his,
death. Yep.
trying to get the information that he had on
Child, not children.
trying to get his plans for a nuclear reactor.
Right,
Essentially.
right.
That's what they wanted. Though that would be great to explore, but
Well,
I don't know. You know, why would they not explore
An
that?
easy one would be Nazis. I think that would be fun.
The Nazis captured him.
Yeah.
Nazis, unfortunately,
It's
didn't
not the
really
right time
exist.
period, I
Yeah.
know, but it's science fiction. So,
Yeah,
all
I
right.
mean, you could, but the problem is he died before.
That even happened.
Yeah,
Well, he could have time traveled. All
he
right,
died
whatever.
before Hitler was born.
Okay, so we're gonna come back to other subjects now. That's good though. I mean, that is a movie that I really love, so it was fun to talk about.
Oh my god!
What I was gonna get into was what movies do you remember us having at home? I remember The Sound of Music. I remember Gulliver's Travels, the animated version.
Of Avonlea, just kill me now.
Oh, I love.
And they remade it, and I was just like, well, see, like I said,
But hang
like,
on, the last one though was The Jungle Book. That's the only other. Well, but that was a live
the
action.
original
Yes,
Jungle
yes.
Book. That was borderline though, because he was wearing
He was
like
running around in a
he was,
loincloth.
I know, we could see his boob,
Yes,
his man chest
Chesticles,
area.
yeah. Mhm. It's a problem.
No, we had like, it would be like, okay, someone's just going to babysit you, and then is Anne of Avonlea or Anne of Green Gables for like the next 7.5 hours. Like,
That's awesome.
and I hear it, like when I heard, what's the new one called? Tales from Avonlea? Or what's the...
Tales from Avonlea, but now Anne with an E is on Netflix.
Anne with an E. Like,
Yeah.
when I started seeing reruns for that, I got like, it
You
was like
flashbacks?
a mixture of PTSD and just explosive vomiting sessions. Like, I'm like, I don't want to...
I loved
it.
Anne of Green Gables.
It's
I'm not
bad.
ashamed.
That's because she was the only girl you got to see on a regular basis.
It's true. She definitely was.
You had a crush on her.
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
I
did-
follow her on
I did
Instagram
something.
now.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh.
Megan follows. I follow Megan follows.
Is that the actress?
Pretty sure.
Is
yeah,
she
Megan
like 80 or something?
Megan follows as Anne. Yeah.
Wait, is it the new one or the old one?
No, Megan follows is.
So she's like 50.
Yeah, well, she's up there. Yeah.
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 Gross.
Fuck you. All right, so those were the movies. Do you remember any other movies besides those that we had? I don't remember anything else.
We had this one movie
we
about the
would go-
KKK.
What?
I don't know that we owned it. We watched it on several occasions. I remember it because there was
It's
this
black
scene,
and white, and and it wasn't a talk movie.
It didn't have any talking.
That shit was scary. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
they push a girl off a cliff and break her neck.
Oh my god, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and they hang like 3 people. Like, this is a shit we're watching. Our parents are like, nudity, no!
No!
And I'm like,
Hanging
our,
people,
Our children are
yes!
6. I've seen people hung. You know, I was like, okay.
Okay, sure.
I mean, that's a Christian way, though. It's like, don't look at a vagina, but you can watch somebody get eaten by a lion. Fine with that.
No big deal.
I wonder why he's a serial killer who doesn't like vaginas.
What do you know? But yeah, I forgot about that. I do remember that. And then I feel like we ended up owning the Sackets at one point because we had scenes cut. No? Did we steal it?
Yeah, but that was later on.
Yeah, but that was still Indiana.
We were still cutting shit out of videos in Arnold.
Really, we were?
Yes.
Like what?
We're still erasing.
So let me break that down really quick.
Yeah.
So there would be scenes that were
Inappropriate.
But by the way, this was something that was inappropriate to us was something that was in is that a spaghetti western? Is that what that's called? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 70s spaghetti western. That's what. How's there something inappropriate in there? Yeah, there's hookers. It's the 70s, and it's a western that was made in the 70s, and you have Tom Selleck. There's gonna be hookers. It's just how it's gonna go.
Hookers.
Not related to Bob. So.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that guy. But that's what it was like. We would they would record like it was VHS, and we would record over those moments.
Yeah, but you
so
just
those bad
recorded
stuff wouldn't be
right.
there.
You would just
You
record
recorded
static.
fuzz, yeah,
So you would just essentially it was the same as holding a magnet to it, which you could do as well.
Yeah.
Which would just so you'd be like, hey, you hold on.
Yeah.
That would be and that was
you just cut where the woman was,
right?
That had
or
her breasts
where
showing.
the curse word,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like,
yeah.
And in some cases, it wasn't curse words; it was just like.
Oh, it was probably barroom dancing.
Everything.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. Like, I remember fast forwarding Pete's Dragon when she's in the bar dancing, because she's dancing
on the bar.
She
pulls her skirt up.
Yeah,
you can see
her knees.
Can you see the knee?
Yes.
Oh, I just thought it was the calf.
Just the ankle and the calf.
Well, she was wearing ankle boots, so you couldn't see her ankle.
That's true.
So maybe you could see her. Well, she's wearing a petticoat, so I mean, you can only see up to about here.
You couldn't see shit.
But it's provocative and lewd.
Well, and she's dancing I remember she's dancing in a bar. Like, that was a big problem. Like,
dancing.
she's in a bar where people drink alcohol. So
alcohol.
And here we are.
Well, that's
many years later.
It's like Mrs. Stefan really helped me with the alcohol thing, and it's like people who even claim to not consume alcohol in so many different ways.
NyQuil.
They have no idea. Well, frankly, it's better off to have a glass of whiskey in a lot of ways than drink a bottle of NyQuil.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, if I now, like, I know I'm an alcoholic, whatever, fuck it, but I'll go, when I'm sick, when I feel something coming, I go get, if I don't have regular Jack Daniels in the fridge, I go get Jack Daniels, and that's what I have, and I have a shot of that.
According to Father, it actually doesn't help you get well. And I mean,
really?
He had sources. It's not, for me, it doesn't help me get, like, I'm not worried about getting well. If I've got a sore throat or, like, I have a canker sore, I just want to numb the goddamn thing.
Right, yeah.
Like, if I can take a couple sips of something and then just power through it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and lidocaine's not good for you. Shit doesn't last anyway.
No, it wears off.
So anyway, yeah, no, that's how I feel about that. But,
anyways.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It is a mess. So, growing up, I know a lot of people that moved around a lot more than we did, but I would say, I would put us in the category of we moved around a lot, because we didn't,
I was thinking about this the other day.
Huh.
We moved around a lot. We had a better worldview, I would say, than at least 85% of most of the kids I grew up with.
Why would you, I don't disagree, why would you say that?
Just because we knew that there was something beyond this, like, 75 people, this 85 town. People. Yeah, we knew there was something else out there. We knew there was a world that existed beyond us, but at the same time, we didn't.
Yeah,
which was
exactly.
So weird.
That's surreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was like, we know the world, we know there's something. Like, I mean, there are so many children. You could go into an IFB-run school, and you could just name the first country that comes to your mind, and they wouldn't know if you're talking about a bag of potato chips or what.
That's true.
They have no idea.
Yep.
They don't know what's out there. In fact, there are a lot. I just saw an amazing sign the other day, and it said, Donald Trump has made America the best country in this nation.
Seriously?
And that sounds like something you would hear in a Baptist school.
No, definitely would be. Yeah.
And they wouldn't even know.
Jack Howes is the greatest world leader ever. Like, what?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, a lot of craziness, and again, I'll say this, I've said it before, and I'll say it many times, I'm sure. I feel like the culture we grew up in was a lot easier on and easier for guys than it was for girls.
Because it was. So, and that's so funny because we harken back, and I say so many times in my podcast, that what we lived in was very like 1950s America. Well, that's because when it was thought up, it came from Jack Hyles in the 1950s.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was patterned after his day-to-day life in the 1950s, and then that's what everybody
What
did.
he wore, what he drank, where he went.
You wore what you wore, you got up, you went to work, you came home, you put your feet up, your wife did everything.
There's a song called Little Boxes. I think it's called Little Boxes. And it's about all those homes that went up, I want to say 40s and 50s, when it was just all these subdivisions started springing up, and all the houses looked the same, and all the people looked the same. Went to the university, something like that. Like, it's just like everyone had the same cookie cutter life in the picket fence. And while I think that's a great bit of nostalgia, and that's a great, I'm not saying it's a great time period, because there's a lot of oppression going on, and a lot of things wrong, and a lot of progression not happening until the 70s and 80s, but and again, I wasn't alive then, so I can't really speak with great knowledge on it.
We kind of were because we kind of
lived in
the 50s.
Yes, but I wasn't literally there. So,
Yeah.
but my thought is like, yeah, it's nice to harken back to that and think of that as an interesting time or history.
I don't think so because
but not to live by it. Not
Right.
to live by it. To
Yeah.
look at it as like, oh, that was an interesting time and that was cool stuff.
I think that's a problem. Is I've gotten to the place where I don't even look at it as a cool. I don't look back with nostalgia anymore. I look back with a little bit of disdain.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
How can you treat your fellow people? Hey, okay, you go back to the 50s. I mean, black people were still drinking out of different water fountains.
That's true. You're right.
I don't look back at any part of the 1950s and like it's cute. And I think the reason we looked at it that way is because everybody kind of wore a shirt and tie back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was our day-to-day garb as Christian, as whatever we were.
Yep.
And I think there's a big part of it was just the visual similarity. And we looked back and we're like, well, they dressed like we are and we are perfect, so it must have been perfect.
It must have been, yeah, that's a good point.
And I look back at those times now and I'm like,
yeah.
And also, I mean, just to get into a philosophical level, like society has a way of like eating itself up.
Yeah.
It's really hard on people.
Yeah.
And the whole cookie cutter is really bad because what happens is that's a good life for one of those people.
Right. But when you try to copy and paste it for everyone, we're all different. Then
you wind up working your butt off trying to, again, it's kind of keeping up with the Joneses or whatever.
You're trying to be like Joe Blow next door, but you're not living your own life. You have to live your own life and figure out your own shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right.
I find that very frustrating with society. I find it frustrating when people emulate or adopt mindsets that are destructive to their own. Like, it's like, okay, I'm not a morning person.
No,
I'm not going to pretend to be, so I'm not going to go down to the TV station and get a job as a morning host who has to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I'd kill myself in 3 weeks.
You'd kill someone.
Yeah. But there are plenty of people who do exactly that.
That's their thing. They do great.
Well, no, I'm saying there are plenty of people who are my way, but then try and do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're miserable as fuck. And
You're
they take it out on their kids. They take it out on their wife. They take it out on their friends.
Yep.
They're drinking themselves to sleep 3 nights a week, 5 nights a week.
Speaking of which.
And this is like, again, like at the same time, okay, you know what? We're talking about like being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
According to Google, if you have 15 drinks, it's 1.5 ounces of alcohol or
15 drinks a
beer.
week.
15 drinks a beer. 15 drinks a week.
Yeah, you're drunk right now.
15 drinks.
15 drinks.
I'm out.
Yeah, 15 drinks.
Well, this is the second night this week I've been like,
all right,
oof.
all right.
So
Smoking
15 drinks a week. You're an alcoholic, but that is assuming that what they're saying, like for
that's
me,
for it.
That's like
endless,
the entire year.
That's
like
or several years, or
the rest of your life. You're having
Mm-hmm.
15 drinks a week. Well, I might drink half a bottle of scotch if I have a bad week because we're entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it gets to you. But
every day.
I can go months without even touching. anything,
exactly.
You know,
but you're an alcoholic.
But I'm an alcoholic according to Google.
Thanks, Google. And I guess on that subject, I think what was a funny thing for me, and it wasn't so much growing up, it was becoming an adult and kind of finding my way to who I was going to be and how I was going to live my life. Before I started drinking any alcohol, I had lots of friends. I got a job out here in California, and a lot of them drank. Like I actually worked at a startup where we would have, I think it was Thursdays, we would have what they call a team huddle, and no one was getting drunk, but they had beer. They would have beer at the team huddle. And what was funny was I have it right here. I had bought this during Hurricane Katrina from American Eagle to support whatever. Yeah, but this is it looks like a key, but it's actually a bottle opener. I don't know if you can see that. But what was funny was other people I'm sure have bottle openers, but like I was the one girl I was the one guy. The girl in HR, Marissa, knew she could come to me for a bottle opener anytime, and I was the only person there that didn't drink. I bought it because I thought it was cool, but I didn't even drink. So I know it's something else. But
irony.
Let me finish.
Finish.
But I would tell them that, and I feel like Grandpa Hardy was, I don't know if he was an alcoholic, but we know he drank a lot.
He had like a beer a day, and we're like, our grandpa's an alcoholic.
He's gonna die. Because Jesus.
And literally, the doctor was like, dude, have a beer a day. Because he was just like daddy. He's like, come on.
Exactly.
Like,
he could take, chill out.
We're the same way, you know? Like, we're like totally chill, and one, like, just the right trigger gets pushed, and we're like, up to like 9,000. Yeah,
exactly.
Just like
100%.
It just goes straight up to
So I would tell, these friends would be drinking, And they were always really nice about it. They were never like, hey man, what the fuck is your problem? Why don't you drink? They're just like, hey, you gonna have a beer? I'm like, no, I'm not going to. And my contention was always, because I drink a lot all the time. I'm always drinking something. In fact, I usually drink about a gallon of water a day. Ooh. Yeah, I'm super cool like that.
Totally awesome.
I'm so awesome. But
I want to have clear pee like you.
It's pretty cool. You should try it. The clear pee life is the best life. So you heard it first here on Not Your Mother's Podcast. But I remember telling them, like, because I'm always drinking something, I'm sure that one drink of beer, I'm going to be an alcoholic. Like, that's just what's going to happen to me. And that's not really a reality. Like, that's not how things work. I'm not saying people don't have a propensity for it. I'm not saying there's no such thing as a disease. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying, like, because you think that because the way you were raised and what you were taught growing up says that one drink of alcohol an alcoholic makes you become an alcoholic because of that. That's not the case.
There are certain personality traits that lend themselves to dependencies. Those are the people who can become dependent on anything.
It's not necessarily alcohol. Yeah.
And some people are more likely. Again, I don't have all the research, but I'm assuming like chemically, some people are geared, or could be like there are some people who can take a drink of alcohol and it not be a problem, and they could become addicted to something else.
Right, exactly.
So, but I mean, it's a matter it's a matter of regulation, and it's a matter of a healthy outlook. Which, again, civilization's not very good at helping people with a healthy outlook.
Not regulating.
According to civilization, there are like 93 things you need, and nobody gives a shit how you get them.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you destroy your health, your mental health, or your physical health,
just to get ahead in business,
there's nothing that says that's a bad thing.
No, there's not. There's not. And we live and working, doing entrepreneur work, we kind of live in that world a lot, where it's like when you hustle your ass off and you do whatever you can to get ahead. And honestly, I'm currently in a place where that's sometimes I feel like, man, like, yeah, I feel like I got ahead for business or like in the business world, or
you sacrifice too much of yourself.
But I've sacrificed a lot of myself.
And that's
to get
where
there.
Like you have to draw a hard line in the sand with your clients, and you have to be like, this is what my life, and that's what the last couple of years of my life have been learning. Like, if someone calls me, they don't get the going rate. Yeah. They get what they get at that point in time. At that point in time, I'm on my way to a family event or to do something. There is a price at which it's okay, where everyone's all right, where we're all in an emotionally stable position to say, you want to pay me $200,000 to do X, Y, Z? Yeah, it's okay for me to drop what I'm doing. Right. But right now, you're not going to get it for $10 an hour. Right. Exactly. And then they can go down the road to the competitor. Yeah, exactly. But it's not worth it. Right, but there's a problem in the kind of the hustle genre. Yeah. That's just okay, like just like Father. Have you seen that movie? It just came out. No. It's your typical movie about someone in executive level position. Right. Working their ass off, ignores their family, and then realizes when they're like 35, they suddenly regret it. Well, what they really don't... First of all, what they don't show is they don't show someone being groomed by society to be a sociopath. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They don't show that. Then they don't show the fact that once you... Because I've been there. I think we've both been there. Yeah, absolutely. You get to a place where you're willing to just say, screw everything that I love, screw my, whatever my morality or my own compass is, screw my life.
Screw my needs.
Yeah, I'm just going to go flat out. As a human. Yeah, it doesn't matter what I need. And then you're just going for that dollar, and now you've completely forgotten. What they don't show is...
And that's what executives prey on. That's what they look for, someone that's a company man.
Right, and so what they don't show is when you come to a place where you're not a psychopath, you've learned sociopathy.
I don't think that's a word.
Sociopathy. That's
I don't know.
That is a word.
Okay, I believe you.
Sociopath.
Give it up.
I can't. You have learned to become a successful sociopath. Mm-hmm. They do not show, after you have that moment of realization, the fact that you can't go back to the job that you have. Yeah. And that most people who have learned to be a sociopath don't have any money. No. Because you're not, when you're taught sociopathy,
there you go.
You're not taught like how to handle your money, and oftentimes you're spending your money trying to
make more money.
You know what's interesting is in The Kid.
Yes, I love that movie.
When he's like, he gives his dad a check for a moving van instead of going and helping him move.
Yeah.
What it looks like is he's got money to spare, but the reality is when you're not a psychopath and you spend your life trying to be a sociopath, you use your money instead of your time, which means at the end of that road, there's no money.
There's no money left, yeah.
Yeah, because you're spending your money because you don't have time.
And there's also no time.
Yeah. Well, and then when you get done, so this is where my conclusion that I hit. When I was in sales with the Ben's Warehouse and I made more money than I ever made in my life.
Right.
I gave most of it to the church. Because I was trying to get honestly, I was trying to get a wife. I wanted to get, that's what I believed was going to get me a wife.
Into that. Yeah.
I wanted a girl. The reality is all I had to do was go down to the bar on a Friday night for a couple of times.
Well, I don't know. You might get an STD.
I would have found more than I was ever going to get.
As a church, that's for damn sure.
And even an STD would have brought me closer to a lot of people that have been worthwhile for me meeting than the church. But when I was in that, when I came to that place, it's that beautiful moment that all these movies in Hollywood have preyed on our emotions with, that are just, oh my God, and they figured it out and they realize their family's good, and like Family Man with Nicolas Cage. What they don't show is you cannot turn around and go back to that job. You can, but you won't be successful.
It won't work for you anymore. But that's the end of that's the
you're goddamn flat broke. Because you've spent all of your money denying your emotions that entire time.
It's a fun Hollywood story, but like at the end of it was George Bailey, like
for years.
All that shit. It's once you get to the end. I like what you're saying because that's the end of the movie.
Right.
And that's Western culture in America, that's what we know is like, oh man, he finally figured it out. Good for him. And then you walk out of the movie theater and you go back to your day-to-day life and you don't realize if you try that shit, you can do it. It's doable.
Yeah, you're going to be homeless.
But like all the fallout afterwards is like, oh, fuck.
The fallout
This is why there's no more of the movie when after that resolution happens.
Because you go, oh, he was successful, he had money, they must be fine. You watch Just Like Father, you assume, it's a somewhat complex. I appreciate the complexity of the plot.
Yeah.
But you assume she's got a lot of money, but the reality is, according to reality, is that she doesn't have money because she spent her money fixing her emotions.
Right.
And when I say fixing them, I mean these people don't go to therapy.
No.
When you're learning to be a sociopath, you don't go, I have a problem. You go
buy things.
You buy shit. I mean, for me, when I was working, oh my God, I spent so much money on food. I just spent money driving places I didn't need to go. I'd spend money on anything. In fact, I was making 1 week and made almost $3,000 in a week.
Ooh.
Yeah. I was regularly overdrafting my account.
No shit. Wow. That's unreal. Damn.
I have never made that much money before or after in my life.
Yeah.
And I have not dealt with overdrafts.
That's crazy. And you think it's just because of that whole mindset of...
It's because of that, because you're constantly denying yourself. So at every turn where you don't have to deny yourself, you immediately indulge any part of yourself can be possibly indulged.
Yeah, that's a good point. Damn,
which means
crazy.
you're spending every dime.
Yeah, you're just
more
you're spending,
than what you're getting.
You're spending it to spend it. You're not spending it for benefit.
I went to the bank to get a line of credit to buy another car. And they were looking at my debt to income because my income was insane and my debt was nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, other than like the $89 in overdraft fees.
Right.
And they're just like, but because of my record, because I wasn't holding any of my money, they couldn't loan me any money. They're like, you have insane debt to income. We don't even understand it. But there's no way we can loan you a dime. Damn, that's because I had never paid them back.
No. Well, here's a question for you on a different subject or similar still. If you feel comfortable talking about it, if not, I can talk about mine a little bit. But do you have a moment? Because we were both raised in the IFB. Do you have a moment or maybe a time period that you can look to and say, this was when, I realized something was off, or this, because we were indoctrinated from birth, both of us. And again, I'm not saying that against our parents.
I think the first time I took all of my money to the church and gave it to them, I felt like it wasn't right.
How much money are we talking about?
Well, like $7 in a piggy bank.
Yeah.
I know it was 5 or 6.
When you were an adult, when you were a child?
5 or 6 years old.
Oh, really?
And then after that, the next time I felt like something was like really wrong with our family, I wanted gummy snacks on my lunch.
Yeah.
And I went upstairs, and I didn't say, like, I didn't complain. I didn't take it out on anybody.
Yeah.
But, okay, so, I mean, we literally, at one point, we were digging through a dumpster.
Yeah, Aldi's dumpster in Plymouth. Yeah, I remember that.
And that's how we packed our lunches.
Yep.
And one night I went upstairs, and because
And by the way, I want to make this statement, and this isn't against. This is just to clarify that. I'm pretty sure when we were digging through a dumpster, my dad was not only pastoring, he was also working a full-time job.
Yeah,
full-time job at Grand Rental Station.
Right.
That guy's working his ass off, and we still weren't able to make ends meet.
Right.
Because he was a pastor.
Because church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just want to. I'm not diminishing that.
And
I'm just
whatever
saying.
expenses due to church, church came first.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The money for anything that happened
the
to
buses, the bus promotion, going out soul winning, the gas for every event.
Came before your family every year.
Exactly. And I don't blame that on my dad. I blame that on the institution.
Right. It's a mess. But we were packing lunches. I don't know. I was 6, 7 years old. We were all packing lunches.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want a fancy lunch. I didn't want anything special.
Yeah.
I just wanted to not, like, when I was so embarrassed at school because of what my lunch was.
Yeah, when you opened up your lunch and you had the poor kids' lunch.
Exactly.
And they didn't.
And I just went upstairs and I cried and I was like, what's wrong with our family? Like, why? And I just put my head in the carpet and I bawled. I mean, it felt like hours.
Yeah.
I was probably like 3 minutes. But, you know, I just cried and cried and cried. And those are the moments when I was like, you know, beyond that, I think I just got numb after a while.
Yeah.
But early on, those were the first few moments where I was just like, we're not living like everyone else.
Yeah. This isn't normal.
Yeah, this wasn't normal. And then, you get to a place where you become numb to reality.
You have to in order to function.
Normalize.
Yeah, and I think in order to function, in order to not have those breakdown moments, in order to be able to tell yourself that everything's okay or you're somehow normal, you have to, like you said, normalize it. You have to tell yourself, look, this is my normal, so it's okay somehow.
I'm selfish a little. I think we're
innately selfish.
Well, we should. Here's the problem. We were taught selfishness is wrong. Selfishness is great. Selfishness is just self-preservation.
My big problem with that teaching is that you can pretend to take care of other people without taking care of yourself, but you can never really take care of other people without yourself being taken care of.
Well, and here's the problem: is that what was happening was those people were pretending to take care of other people and only taking care of themselves.
Exactly.
Like the priest thing that's going on in Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So, you know, there's so much there. But what were we just talking about?
Selfishness is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, selfishness is very good. It's just self-preservation. And there are certain things you need mentally to function, physically to function. And if those things aren't in place, you'll never be a good role model. You'll never be good to take care of your kids.
You're not going to be a good human.
Yeah, you're not going to be a decent person.
Yeah.
So you've got to cover those bases. And we were taught to constantly forgo that. Mm-hmm. I know where I wanted to go with some of that was I systematically gave all of my money to the church in stages. When we go to pastor school, Daddy would give us money.
Yeah.
You know what I do with it? The minute they pass the offering plate, I
dump it
put
all
it
in there.
Daddy would get mad at me because he's like, I gave that so you could buy food and blah, blah, blah. And so he's mad at me because I just did what I thought was the most excellent thing that I could do.
Yeah.
And now I'm supremely conflicted, and now I feel bad, and now he's not eating the food he should be eating because he's having to pay for my meals because I took the money from my food and put it in the offering plate because I'm trying to help God.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? How do you even
approach that? Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's been that was my life until maybe 25 years old, just giving shit to the church because it's all we were taught. Give shit to the church, and it's cast your bread.
It's all going to work out.
This is a wonderful analogy. Cast your bread upon the water, and how many, tenfold or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem with that. It does, but it's all soggy and shit. You can't do anything with it.
Yeah, it comes bobbing on
back. It literally
does.
Have you ever put bread in the goddamn water? There's nothing
expands.
you can do with it at that point. And that's giving. That's exactly what it's like to giving your money to the church is the same thing as throwing bread in the water. You're not going to make a sandwich out of it. You can't put it in a toaster.
It looks a lot bigger.
Oh, it looks a shitload bigger, but it does nobody any good.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's just interesting though to me to kind of. I like to hear where people kind of made their departure or had those thoughts of like, something's not right. Something's not.
I mean, my initial my separation came when I was the music director for Blessed Hope Baptist Church, and I was taking prescription drugs.
Yeah.
Which was stronger than probably the illegal medication. I would have been doing a better job for me and worse for my body.
Right.
I'm taking prescription drugs, and I was leading the music like just high as fuck every single morning. And one Sunday morning, I got up and I was having a particular bad day. The reality is I shouldn't have been getting up at 7 o'clock to go do all that bullshit because it didn't matter anyway. And I'm pushing my body and I'm tired. I was spending most of my productive time in church doing things that really didn't matter and that weren't helping anybody. And certainly weren't helping me at all.
Not at all.
Because I thought that God would heal me, or you know what I mean?
You pay into it.
You're
God's
relying
gonna take
on
care of you.
It's his whole faith bullshit.
Yep.
Faith is absolute garbage. You don't need faith. Get on your own goddamn feet and fucking go do something. Faith can kiss everybody's ass. It should. Faith is just. I don't like. When I see a goddamn faith.
I think. Okay, so I want to meet what you're saying. Not meet it, but like meet it out with a little bit of my perspective, which is our idea of faith is it's an absolute idea. It's not having, like you said, understanding self-worth. It's not confidence, but a lot of people see faith that way.
Yeah,
the way we see faith and the way we came up is faith is like you take, like you said, you take all your money and give it to the church. You take all of your thoughts and feelings and aspirations and you give them to God and you say, God, do whatever you want with it. That's what faith is, just taking all that you are and that you own and giving it to God.
A car with an empty gas tank to the place where it runs out of gas and being like, I don't understand why God didn't take care of me.
Exactly.
Well, you're a freaking idiot.
You're a fucking moron.
There's no and that's insane.
I just want to make that perspective understood. So it's not like when you say faith, it's not like, hey, have faith in yourself or have faith that people are good or whatever it is. It's more of this absolute faith in someone that you have no contact with.
Yeah, faith is harmful, and I mean.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have no idea.
If people haven't figured that out, I mean, I think they're gonna. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so my departure came when I was just supremely high on oxycodone, which were completely illegal and being given to me in bucketfuls by a doctor, which is amazing,
isn't it?
And I had taken a handful of them and gotten up, and because I was just like, I was really peaked. Because, I mean, it was like, oh, come on, like shitty singing, bad piano, you name it.
You needed to be
when
high
you're
for that.
Physically in pain, and you're a musician, and like you're like, nah, it's just like, it's like nails on a fucking chalkboard, but like then amplified, and like, I could do it. But anyway, so you're dealing with all of this. I'm a neat freak. I am super organized, and like, the pastor doesn't show up on time for the service. The service starts 50. All this shit is just like ruining my life. And so I'm high as fuck. I get up. I'm leading the singing, and I'm just completely departed from me.
You're not even
People
there.
could call it. You could call it an out of body experience, whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
I believe that in some ways we can be multi-dimensional beings, although I don't like. I believe in multiple dimensions. I don't believe in heaven and hell, and I don't believe.
But I think here's a theory from an absolute crackhead, or a man who was Steve-O. I don't know his actual name, but Steve-O has said the guy has done incredible amounts of drugs, and he has said that you see, when you do a lot of drugs, you see things that you don't see normally, and you're hallucinating. I'm not taking away from all that, but like his thought, and he has a lot of experience with drugs. His thought is that some types of drugs break down the barriers that we have between dimensions. And that's how you see those other things. I mean, I'm not saying he's right or wrong.
Some of that.
I'm saying I like that thought.
I do like that thought. I have an active imagination. It is not hard. Some people, though, are just capable of visualizing. So when I make a pattern, I'm making clothing, I can see in more than one dimension. I'm seeing a 3rd or 4th dimension.
Yeah.
And likewise with other types of creators, right? And so it's not... I'm not sure where was going with that. But I mean,
well, seeing
so
other,
it's not...
okay, but what happened to you that day when you were living singing?
So when I'm saying I can see more than one dimension, like I can, like in my mind...
Right, you can visualize it.
I can walk away from myself, and just like a drone, I can do 360 degrees around my head and just about see everything.
Yeah.
Anything that I've seen in my peripheral or I've seen previously,
right.
I can picture in place.
All right. Okay.
So I was saying about like being able to get outside of your own head and look around, and I mean, some people can't. Can you see yourself from another perspective?
I've had moments, but I haven't practiced it. Yeah. Like I've had moments where I felt it. But to practice it, I haven't actively practiced it.
That's what I kind of consider meditation. I do a lot of meditation.
Yeah.
Which got me which took me off of being dependent from.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know this about you. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I was dependent, and then
I knew you were dependent as far as you're saying on
oxycodone.
On oxycodone.
Extremely dependent.
And you're saying
what happens is you get to a place where you are not... Where, like, I have physical pain, and I was in physical pain, but you get to a place... where you're used to being numb to the pain, and you begin to freak out about what happens if you ever feel the pain again.
Right. It's not the pain
itself.
It's
the anticipation of feeling the pain.
Yeah.
And when you're on heavy medication and you actually have physical pain, when the medication wears off, it's a very stark
I can imagine.
Moment. It isn't pretty at all. And so that fear is there for a very good reason.
Right. It's warning you.
Right. But I mean, you've got to get to, there's some pain you have to live with, there's some pain that heals. And the pain that doesn't heal, you've got to learn how to live with it.
That's tough.
Anyway, so
I'm leading singing.
I'm leading singing. I had like 4 I don't know how many milligrams that they were, but it was enough.
Plenty.
It was too much. And I mean, I was just boom, and I got up there and I was like, I'm leading singing.
Right.
This guy's gonna preach. They're gonna take an offering. You know what I mean? It's just this rotation.
It's the motions.
And I'm like, nothing matters. Nobody in this audience. The only thing they care about is that I'm in my place.
Yep.
And I'm doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fucking high as a kite. And if I were up here on amphetamines or an illegal thing, and they knew, they'd be horrified.
It'd be terrible.
They know that I'm up here illegally, high as fuck, on medication, and nobody cares.
No one cares because you're in your place doing your thing.
Nobody cares. So none of it mattered. And that's when I realized, you remember hearing all these evangelists, I was on the platform and 6 million people, and that's when I realized I wasn't saved. And I'm like, I should be realizing I'm not saved right now, but I'm like, I'm realizing this is a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got
how did the rest of your day go?
Oh, I couldn't stand when I got off the platform. I laid down in the back of the church, and somebody had to carry me out.
No shit.
And that was one of the last times I ever went to a church.
Wow. That's insane.
Like, that was the end of it. Shortly after that, I went dry for 48. I got very... I went through a little bit of a roller coaster emotionally. Got really depressed when stood on a bridge. Wasn't planning to kill myself.
Sure.
But I didn't want to go. I did not want to be where I was, and I didn't want to go where I was going.
Right. So
and
you
I was trying to figure out where I was going to go, and I'd have rather died under the wheels of a semi-truck than have gone down that road another year.
Right.
And so police officer, in fact, a police officer who got fired this year.
No shit.
For going to counseling for depression.
How does that even happen?
Exactly. Because Jaron Martin, the goddamn DA, who's a complete piece of fucking bullshit, gets him fired. That guy pulls up in his car. He had a K9 unit at the time. Just talks to me just as another human being.
Yep.
And here's the problem. Every time I talk to a pastor about it, well, you read your Bible. I don't know why you'd want to kill yourself. Life is so good. And it's like...
It's not that good,
life
bro.
Life is fucking bullshit. Yeah. And I mean, and it's the fact they don't even take a time.
I'm not saying life's not good. I'm saying where you were at right then, life wasn't good.
Right, and they don't take the time to empathize or even consider that maybe you're not.
They steamroll over you. How's your budget? When's the last time that you
looked
were
at
in
pornography?
Church? Yeah, when did you look at pornography last? Because I was looking at it earlier this morning. I got some sites to recommend to you, clearly. Like, really, like, honestly, they want to know about your budget. They want to know about your sins. They want to know about your tithe. They want to know about your church attendance. They want to know about your church involvement. Are you teaching in Sunday school? Are you going soul winning? Are you coming to our extracurricular meetings? Exactly.
When I was with Carnes, the first question he had, anytime someone came in for counseling, no.
Oh, sucks.
When did you tithe last? And if you hadn't tithed recently, he would not counsel you because he wasn't getting paid for it.
You're shitting me.
No.
Open Bible Baptist Church.
Beautiful piece.
Not open at all.
Sam Carnes fucked me more than any other person on the earth.
I know he did. Fuck that guy.
I kind of feel sorry for him in a lot of ways. In
what ways?
I feel sorry for him because I genuinely think he is not healthy mentally.
I mean, he can't be.
Yeah. And I don't think he even understands the depth of shit.
He doesn't know what he's doing to people. Not that that doesn't sound right for me. I don't like saying that, but like he doesn't know the depth of what he's gone.
Well, but that's the thing. These people were not taught any form of psychology. No. They don't know they don't know anything about mental health.
Well, mental health is bullshit to them.
Right.
There's no such thing as depression. When someone can stand up and tell hundreds, sometimes even thousands of people that basically depression is bullshit and you should just get right with God.
Up, right. Well, I was just listening to Jack Scott was like, yeah, you might be depressed. You have to get up. You've got to take a shower. You've got to,
they love that what
regimentation.
Is it? Regimentation, exactly. They love that,
and it's like
that's just one step at a time. Do this, and then do this, and then do this.
I've gone like a week without a shower before, and I will just rub your face in my crotch. No, I don't have to take a shower.
He's getting plenty of crotches rubbed in his face now.
Sure. But what a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I'm up there, and I realized that within a couple of weeks, I went up on a bridge, and
the cop's there,
phenomenal officer talks me down. He takes me in for they check my blood and everything in the hospital.
Yeah.
Determine I'm okay.
See what you're on.
And what I did is I just went dry for 48 hours. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I didn't take any.
And that's how you ended up on the bridge.
No.
This was after.
This is after.
Wow.
And I was just
wait. You ingested nothing for 48 hours? Holy shit.
I just and it wasn't like trying to do some cleanse. I just didn't know what to do, so I wasn't going to do anything.
Don't do anything. Just sit here and don't do anything.
And I was like, if the pain comes, the pain comes. And it did. And
I can't imagine, bro.
Just about the end of that period, because I had taken a shitload of medicine.
Now, if you don't feel... you don't have to talk about this at all. But can you explain, just for our listeners, a little bit of the kind of pain that you... I know you still deal with pain.
Well, what I pain...
Like what you have with...
What I have is spinal stenosis.
Okay.
And there's debris bunches up on the inside of my spinal column. Push it against my spinal cord, and it sends random signals off. So, the other day, I was having a lot of trouble. I'm trying to remember which hand it was. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was this one.
Your right hand.
This felt like it was burned, just like if you had grabbed a pan.
That intense.
It just burned. Fuck. Yeah, burned for a couple hours.
So you get pain signals sent to
I
different
get all
parts
kinds
of
of random pain signals. I don't have any wet, dry, hot, cold sensation in my feet.
Really? I didn't know this.
Because they're so burned out. Yeah.
Wow.
If something hits, so I'd have had surgery here, and the nerve endings haven't grown in completely on my knee.
Beneath your knee, okay, on your knee.
But just because of the way, that my spinal stenosis has got things going down there. When something hits my knee, it doesn't the pain will last for about an hour.
Holy
if I
shit.
hit my knee in a corner of something, the pain lasts for quite some time, and then I have arthritis in my knee, and time to time it feels and it can go on for quite some time, but it feels like someone shoves an ice pick in my knee.
Fuck.
Then I have different pains in my thighs and my hips. A lot of times it'll feel so I can get the feeling of having a cramp but not have a cramp.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Wow. But that's what you were dealing with then.
Right, and then I have muscle spasms. I do have a lot of lower back pain, which kind of comes and goes with him hauling bags through airports and whatnot, so it'll hurt bad for a couple of days, and then it
you'll be
gets
all right
better.
a little bit.
And then obviously, the big thing for me is making sure that when I do something, I have the appropriate amount of downtime, which I never had before. And being an entrepreneur, you can do.
Yep.
I can go. I can this week is an insane week.
But next week you can chill.
Next week I can chill. I've got a lot of sewing to do, which doesn't really take a whole lot of work to do.
By the way, for those of you that don't know, Andrew is an incredible tailor. In fact, he flew in. He got here. One of the first things I had him do was tailor a pair of jeans for me. I bought them. I knew they were they're 34. I'm like, what did we decide? I'm 27 maybe?
Maybe a 27
27 inseam. So I'm 34. So he took a bunch of, he did a bunch of work as soon as he got here. His wedding is coming up. He brought the suit and shirt and everything and was outfitting me with that right now. He's an incredible tailor, and I'll just do it right now. Like and I know you don't like to do. I don't think you like to do it unless you have the person there with you. But if you need tailoring done or you have some questions, Andrew's the guy. He'll take care of you. Anyways, your tailoring work, does that tend to cause you much pain at all? Because I mean,
not really.
Your fingers have to be fixed. No.
Hand pain. Well, no, not really. I mean, I hunch quite a bit, but it doesn't it doesn't really. Tailoring doesn't cause me any pain.
Okay.
However, when I am in a heightened like after this week,
right?
Okay, there are some, like I could hem a pair of pants. Some simple things,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't
like. A lot more difficult.
I don't like simple work, but I can sit down and do simple work in the worst of states, and it's not a problem.
You're right.
More complicated work, so setting a sleeve head, you're setting so you have the inside of the shoulder seam and the actual sleeve head and the crown. You're actually setting a certain amount of fullness on the outside of that. It's a very complicated process.
Sounds like it.
And when you're like sweaty or tired and you're on edge, it's not something you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Because if you rip it out and redo it a few times, you can cause a lot of damage to one or both sides of the fabric. So I mean, like things like that. But understanding and realizing that's very important.
Yeah.
With physical health
Know
issues.
yourself.
Yeah. You gotta know what hey, what can I do?
Okay. So you were on a bridge, then you had a 48-hour kind of.
I went dry for 48 hours, and toward the very end of that, I was like it hit. I was in significant pain. I was just like, wow. And then not long after that, like it wasn't long after that, and I don't know if it was a shot of adrenaline or what.
Yeah.
I just felt better.
Really?
Like I know it sounds insane. It almost sounds like a Christian spiritual
come
experience.
to Jesus moment for sure.
It wasn't. I mean, it was a lot of work. It was intense.
Yeah.
It was hard, and I was awake that entire period of time as well.
Oh, really? The 48 hours you didn't sleep?
No, I didn't. No, because you can't.
That's miserable.
You can't go to sleep. It was somewhat miserable. It was worth it. Like I don't know that, and I'm sure that you could go to a therapist or a psychiatrist and they could recommend a much better way to rehabilitate.
Yeah.
It was
but the fact that you did it yourself, though, that has to bring power with it.
I pushed myself through, and I got rid of my medicine. I know it probably sounds crazy, and the next thing I did was I went into the bathroom, which had some black mold on some of the where the caulking was,
caulking.
And I cut all the old caulking out and I recaulked the shower, and when it was dry, I took a clean shower. And then I just went on with my life.
You just continued.
Like that was it.
You kind of do you feel like maybe that was something where you don't feel like, I mean, it sounds to me like it doesn't even sound like a break. It sounds like a reset. Like you needed that reset.
A complete reset.
Yeah.
It was a reset where church, and ultimately it was resetting. It was taking myself out of church and then doing a hard reboot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just saying like church is. Like, and that's hard, and I know people who haven't lived in church don't, but church not being the center of your life is a big deal.
Whatever, and I'm not diminishing what you're saying. Whatever it is, it's been, how old were you? 22, 23, 25?
Oh, no, almost 25.
You were 25, and that thing had been the center of your life for your entire life. So whatever it is, whether it's fucking alcohol, or whether it's a community you've been a part of, or a family that's toxic, but you've been a part of them your whole life. That's not us, but I'm saying whatever it is, when you've been a part of that one thing has been central to your life and more important than anything else.
It always took precedence.
Always.
It didn't matter what the opportunity was. It didn't matter. Okay, I mean, I think I'd like to say, like my dad earlier this year was going to go see his sister. He hadn't seen her in 6 or 7 years. And a church member died.
There was a death in the church, yeah.
And he had to stay behind and do the funeral and couldn't go see his sister.
Right.
We hadn't seen in 6 or 7 years. And I know that any fundies watching this are like, well, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You're a fucking idiot. Because your family's fucking important. And guess what? The person who died is goddamn dead and they don't give a shit. And that's why I looked my dad in the eye and I said, look, she's dead. She could care less. You were there when it counted for her. Right. So go be there when it counts for your sister.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is have to show up to your sister's funeral.
Yeah, no, I understand that. That makes sense.
It was still such a thing for him. He did stay behind, but he did
go see her this summer. Yeah. And I'm glad he got.
Which is good. Yeah. But that's really horrible, and it's not just that it's bad because you didn't go see your sister and blah blah blah.
I mean, you're not putting, and I don't
hard
feel like
on
you're.
you psychologically.
I don't feel like you're putting that on Daddy. I don't feel like you're putting that on our dad. I think you're throwing that up as an example. Like, look, this is what.
No, it's not his fault.
This is what that does to you. And then again, we don't say it against him. We just say, like, look, this is an example of how entrenched we have been. And when you try to make that departure, or you try to say, like, you know, hey, I'm gonna do something different, or I'm gonna try something different, it almost has to be an out of body experience to get you there, or it has to be something that's so extenuating and so life changing that in order for you, it has to be that in order for you to make that change. When it's something that's been so regimented and such a part of your life for so long, the only way to break free is it's got to be something big. It can't just be like one day you're like, I'm going to try something else after 25 years.
Because that won't happen. And
no,
you're programmed that when you begin, like, so whenever I had moments where I was, like, doubtful or whatever,
well, you thought for yourself.
The first thing you do is you go, am I saved?
Right.
And then that insecurity and that anxiety drives you back to church.
Yeah.
And if that's not enough...
Well, because church is your anchor.
Right. And the next thing you do is you go to you go to counselor.
By the way, let's rephrase that, though. Counselor means your pastor who's been running your life for the last
You go to a pastor, you go to an elder or deacon or whatever you want to call them in the church. And
you're not going to a licensed therapist.
So essentially, hang on. When you go to a pastor or you go to an elder or a deacon, they are the customer retention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of the church. Mm-hmm. They are not there to solve your problems or make your life better.
Yeah.
They're there to keep your account open at blah, 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 whatever church.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what, and
they're there to keep you. They're there to keep your ass in the seat. Right. They're there to keep your check money in the plate. Like that's what they're there for.
They will say whatever they have to say.
Yep.
They will speak out of whichever
it's
orifice they need to. Yeah. And you will
whatever orifice.
Yeah.
No, you're right, because it's usually coming out the ass.
And it doesn't matter. They're gonna keep you there.
Yep.
And so it has to be a pretty big event. One of the best things I think is let me talk about this. On my 22nd birthday, Johnny, our cousin, took me to Hawaii, which was very kind of him.
I remember this.
I spent most of my time trying to find churches to go to on the weekends and the Wednesday nights that I was there, right? Which was quite horrible because I didn't get to spend the time enjoying Hawaii.
Yeah.
But the problem was, had I not, that could have been a really good departure point for me from the religion.
It would have been, yeah.
But because it was so well trained,
so
I get
entrenched.
exactly. And a lot of times I try to tell people this, so many people don't understand.
Yeah.
There are, and I remember when we were in, I don't know quite now, I'm sure there are plenty of churches that do it, but if you go on vacation, say you live in California, you're going to North Carolina, and a lot of times, like, you'll tell your parents, we're going, or your parents, your pastor, you'll say, we're going to North Carolina, and we're going to, because it's bragging rights, we're going to so-and-so's church, whatever.
I remember that, yeah.
Many times the pastors will threaten to, if they won't, they will call that church and say, hey, did such and such family show up at the church?
That's right. You're absolutely right.
And they'll make sure you win.
They keep tabs.
And
But it's not a cult.
Oh, right. But what I was saying is one of the best things for getting out that I've seen in young adults is
vacation,
traveling abroad. It's getting away.
Out of the U.S.
Spending some time. You spend a week out of services. If you're going to 3 to 5 services a week, you spend a week out of services.
You get that break.
Shit tends to line up pretty quickly because the world is very real.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you said it. You nailed it. No, that's true. And like you said, you find that time where you make that time for that departure, and then you, like you said, things start lining up and you start seeing things for what they really are, as opposed to painted in this light of everything is God, everything's Jesus. And look, I don't know if we're in the same place or where we're at exactly. For me, when it comes to God, I'm still not sure about the guy. But
I'm a cosmic nihilist, so
I don't know what that means. But
it means a lot of things.
It sounds like something Neil deGrasse Tyson would be, for sure.
Maybe.
At any rate, I do like the idea of there's nothing wrong. Whatever you think about everything else that you've ever done in your life that's regimented. Pretty much relationships and work, I think, pretty well sum it up. Relationships, work, religion is very, very healthy for for you to take a break from work. Oh my God, yes. You've got to have a break. I haven't had a break in years. I need one like a motherfucker. You need those breaks. Relationships, and I'm not saying if you're married, like, come hang out with me, let's take a break. Like, I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with you having. If you've been married for any amount of time, you and your spouse both know that you don't have to have time away from one another. But
if you've been married for 20 years and you've never taken a break from each other, you don't have a marriage.
Right. Well, then you haven't been married for 20 years. Right. There's just no way.
Well, no, but there are plenty of people who don't have a marriage. They have.
That's true. They live they have a roommate.
Yeah, they have living arrangements with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really bad because a lot of people see people like that and they're like, oh, you must have an amazing relationship.
Must be
and it's
perfect. Like, no, we fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, he still pays the bills or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I like that, and I want to kind of just talk to that for a second about the fact that you can, however you want to apply that, moderation, however you want to phrase it, but take that break. I'm going to start saying this to people, and it hasn't happened a lot lately, but I've had a few people reach out to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about getting out, or I want to get out, or I want to about my husband, or I want to about my wife, and I just, it's really difficult for us. I like that idea a lot of okay, you really want to get out? You have to, I think that's a great, say it however you want, but I think the best way to equate it is a gateway. The best gateway is just take a break. Get your spouse or get your family to go on vacation and not, whether you can get out to fucking Italy or wherever, but that's such a big, don't you remember when we would go on vacation? That was a huge thing. As a family, we'd be flipping through the phone book trying to find the KJV only church. We'd find a fucking Pentecostal.
We spent as much time finding churches as we did doing anything else.
Yeah,
and that's true. That was vacation to me, was finding other Baptist churches.
I'll be honest, I remember a lot of good things about our vacations.
I do, but I'm saying that was
a huge element
thing for me as an adult when I went on my own vacations
was finding those churches.
Yeah, that was a priority.
Very important.
Plane tickets, any travel arrangements all came last. Finding the church I was going to go to came first.
Damn, that's crazy. Wow.
And when I left, Sam Carnes didn't give 2 flying fucks.
No, he didn't.
But when I left, I gave him my itinerary for every church I'd be in, for every service that I was.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so moving forward, there was another subject that me and Andrew need to discuss, and we're gonna have to find another time to do it. Maybe I'll figure out how to do it remote or something. We will get to it. But the one I do want to get to is I have been. Like I said, the podcast for sure was something you inspired me to do video content. But beyond that, I've watched you work your fucking ass off as a tailor. I watched whatever it is, whether it's making your videos, whether it's being a tailor, whether it's, just networking with local professionals. You've been very inspirational to me as far as an entrepreneur. And this isn't an entrepreneur thing where we want to get you to do something or buy in or everyone should be an entrepreneur, but the thing that I've talked about with other people on the podcast, are you bored?
No. Well, I'm thinking you say everyone should be an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, I look at the world and I'm like, yeah, if everybody could just do something they were good at for the rest of their life on their own terms, on their own hours. World. Yeah, it would be a perfect world. But there are cogs out there. There are people who are really good at 9-to-5 jobs and love that shit.
Yeah, and good for them.
No problem with that.
But what I wanted to get to was...
But hang on, there are a lot of people in 9-to-5 jobs that need to be doing something.
They need to be something. Dude, there are a lot of people that find meaning in a 9-to-5. Meaning, I didn't say that right. There's a lot of people that find their worth in a 9-to-5, and that's fine. Good for them. And I
think that's culturally unhealthy to define your worth in a 9-to-5.
I agree.
Allow a culture to be like, hey, did you get you have no idea. When I started working for myself and really working, did you get a job? I've got $500. Oh, yeah, where'd you get a job? But no, I didn't get a job. I have a skill set.
I made a job. You didn't get a job. You didn't acquire one. You fucking made one.
I found some clients and I did $500 worth of work.
This is my thing that I do. Do you need some of it? Yes. Instead of hey, I know how to do this thing. Oh, well, come work for me because that's what I do, and I'll skim off the top of your shit.
Well, and I think that's a problem with degreed people or educated people have a hard time understanding, and I think it's more like a communication issue between educated. It's not uneducated, but it's skilled and the educated.
Right. And a lot of times those cross planes.
But I'm a skilled laborer, And I work with
Right.
a lot of educated people who couldn't do their job without the education.
Yep.
But the education would do nothing but slow me down. And I mean,
Right.
at the same time, I didn't get the education, so I can't turn around and be like, "Let me wait 10 more years so I can
Right.
have the education."
You don't have time.
Right.
Life's
I've
gonna
got
pass
to
you
make.
by.
I have to make a living.
Make it work now.
Right.
But what I was getting at is, a lot of our audience here either has a
No degree.
maybe has some certifications for nursing or carpentry or something like that. But a lot of us either have a bullshit degree like I have, or like you have, don't have a degree.
Yeah.
And part of it's been a frustration lately because I've seen.
Well, I want to say the first thing I want to say to everybody: unless you're making more than about 150 grand a year, nobody's going to check your degree. So you put whatever degree you want.
That's a
on
good
your
point.
resume.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I actually had a conversation with 2 people lately, and I told them when they asked me about one was someone I was working with, another is a friend, a good friend who's doing very well in business, and we talked about degrees, and I said, yeah, I have a degree, but it's unaccredited. And they weren't mean, but they just said, well, why would you tell me that? And I'm like, well, because I need you to know that no one needs to know that.
It's about time served.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. One of the people I'm talking about is Randy Lanning, and he said the same thing. He said, I go through applications so often. I'm looking at your experience. Does your experience on your resume sound like bullshit, or does it sound real? And if you have a degree, that's cool, great. But what have you done beyond your degree for certifications, for things in the field that you're working in? What have you done beyond that says you really care about that field?
I want to say, like, I don't make a shitload of money.
Right.
I make more
Me
money.
neither.
I make a good amount of money. I'm not making as much as I want, but I regularly update my resume. I'm on LinkedIn, which I just got a client from LinkedIn.
Really?
A pretty big. We have the guy from New York who wants me to do all the hand finishing.
No shit.
Suits. Yeah.
That's awesome.
His wife found me on LinkedIn. She's a talent manager. And she found me on LinkedIn.
Hell yeah.
But I regularly apply for basically similar level jobs to where I'm at within the market, and I update my resume because and 2 reasons. One is say I make 40 grand a year. If someone is willing to employ me in a 9 to 5, so let's say for 55 or 60 a year, that then allows me to outsource what I'm doing that's making that 40 grand and keep a chunk of the 40 grand, which then takes me, say, up to 70 grand.
You can level up. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not going to turn around and turn down a job, even, if I find a job that interests me and I think I would like, I apply for it. And it's good, and it keeps me up to date. But the other thing is that when you're going into any job, don't make a one resume. And like if you're going into multiple
make your resume
fields,
for the job.
Build a resume specifically for that job, and then look at it. And if you can't do it, find a friend. Don't use a paid service.
I don't make my own resumes. Trenton makes my resumes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You probably have a friend who's a good writer,
Yep.
but you have a friend who's good at putting themselves in someone else's position. Find someone who's able to look at it from a recruiter standpoint and write what the recruiter wants to see to get you in the door for the interview, because that's what matters.
That's absolutely right. And the point that I wanted to get to, and I'm not diminishing anything you're saying, but the point I want to get to is lately I've been very frustrated. I'm not mad at you. Some of you will see this. The people that I'm talking about. I am not mad at you. I understand you because I was you for so long. We've got people that have insane people skills. People that have, fucking terrific leadership skills. People that they are skilled beyond measure and they would kill it in the workplace or even as an entrepreneur. But they're stuck at a church and they feel like, I've got to keep teaching this Sunday school, or and it's not so much Sunday school. It's more like, I've got to keep making this shit salary as an assistant pastor, a youth pastor, a school principal. And look, again, if your God, your religion, your church is bringing you that much benefit, and you have a house, and you're providing for your family in a way that you are happy with.
But hang on, if you feel any emotional undertow from it, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. But the point that I'm trying to get to is, there is a better career out there for you, guaranteed. And now look, let me hang on. Let me say this though, because I want to meet this out with this as well. I know there's a lot of people, or not a lot of people. There are a few people that will see this and say, like, I am fully fulfilled in my job. My family's happy. I'm happy. And if from the bottom of your heart you can say that, and in some kind of a ministry, more power to you. Andrew may not agree, and that's fine. More power to you. But who I'm speaking to right now are people that you've got that inkling in your head, and that undertow you're talking about, and that thought of like, man, I just, not so much like I hate my pastor, or I hate God, or I hate my church, or I'm an atheist.
You feel trapped where you're at.
There it is.
Because you do not have the education, you do not have the connections to go get a job that will pay what you're getting paid in the outside world. And the reality is that 2 to 3 years, you might have to take a pay cut.
It's going to be tough.
But to be honest with you, if you'll be willing to work if you're working as hard as, anywhere near as hard as we worked.
Yep. Then
you'll work that hard for 2 or 3 years, and you'll be making more than you could imagine.
Sometimes not even that hard. Just a percentage of that. Yeah, a fraction of that. Because if you're working in a ministry, you're getting used and abused 100%.
Well, the thing is, it's going to be...
The transition is bumpy. It's very hard. I've said that before. Yeah.
It will be very difficult because you're not just going to be going and trying to make a living. I mean, the first thing I would do... I think the best thing I would do, from my standpoint, is, I mean, if you can find Dan Miller, go find Dan Miller. He's a little more Christian, and I mean, I'm not Christian at all, so if I recommend him, I recommend him. He's got some really good ethics. He's a psychiatrist, or he's a psychologist, I'm sorry. But if you can read his book, 48 Days of the Work You Love, you can cut any church bull crap out of it.
And by the way, Andrew's been recommending that book to me for years. That's not something where he's like, oh, this is a fly-by-night, get rich quick, great deal. No, you've been recommending that book to me for like 3 or 4 years, I feel like.
I read that book, and
Say it one more time.
48 Days to the Work You Love.
48 Days to the Work You Love.
And it's just 48 days. You read it. You go through the system. I'll be honest with you. I read like 2/3 of the book, and I went from making $10 an hour to a $70,000 job.
Wow.
$70,000 a year
annual
position. And that was but I was still in the church, which was a massive mistake.
That fucked you up, yeah.
But what helped me was it centered me, and I went with no degree. I went to that position because I found something I was good at, and I could walk in the door, and it was evident that I was good at it. They needed my skill set. I had the skill set.
Yep.
And a degree just didn't matter.
No, end of story.
And so, at the end of the day, if you can find something you love that you're actually good at, you may need to sharpen up some skills.
Yep.
You're going to have to knock down some doors. You're going to have to build some bridges. You might have to. Definitely, if you leave the church, you're burning.
A big one.
But I wouldn't worry about it because the world, in the terms that the church gives it, has so much more to offer you than a church could even hope to offer you.
Unless it's Joel Osteen's church.
No, no, because that's the thing is, look at his house, and then
but everyone else that works there on staff,
look at his
not doing so well, probably. Yeah, sure.
Nobody's getting shit because it's just like every other church.
It's right. It's a hierarchy.
Joel sticks his fingers in everyone's ass, and then he's like, God wants me to have all the money.
Some of you know how much it's hurting me to hear this. I'm a big fan of Joel for no good reason.
Yeah, because he's like, I was explaining it to Michelle because Michelle.
Does she like Joel?
No.
Does she like Brother Joel?
She has to watch him because of a client. But
I want to meet her client. I want to meet her.
You want to meet a client? I'm like, Joel Osteen is 90% motivational speaker.
Joel Osteen is 90% whatever product is in his hair.
He's a motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm. He is, absolutely.
And then
that's why I like listening to him.
He teaches prosperity gospel.
Yeah.
So his motivational speaking skills are phenomenal.
They're off the charts.
And if he would just go with those, I could respect him.
Yeah,
but asking people
throwing
for
in the
money,
charlatan Jesus bullshit.
Right. The speaking in tongues, the praying for cancer.
Does he do speaking in tongues?
Yes.
What? I gotta find that. You gotta show me that.
Oh,
I don't just believe
you're gonna watch it tonight. And like I am gonna deflower you.
No, I don't know. I don't think I'm ready for that. I'm not ready for that.
You're gonna be Joel.
I love Brother Joel.
I'm gonna pop your Joel Osteen's cherry, and it's gonna splatter on the ceiling.
Okay, you went too far. That hurts. That hurts my heart so much.
So anyway,
I have one of his books. You know that, right?
Now the thing about him is the praying for cancer. Here's the problem with me. Praying. TV preachers do not prey on intelligent people, and they do not prey on wealthy people.
No. They prey on the masses.
Well, no, they prey on old people, and they prey on sick people.
Yep.
And that disgusts me.
That's bullshit.
That is where I will never, ever be able to respect them. The women... So, if you wanted to look at the numbers of the people who are supporting Joel Osteen, what you're going to see is people taking pension checks and trust funds.
That's true. Damn,
sending
that's
their
sad. You're
money.
right. Yeah.
Because, and our grandma has done it.
Mimo?
Mima.
Oh.
She's tried it for cures.
Really?
Like, yeah, for prayers because they think it's going to heal them.
Yeah.
No, and
Damn.
that's the end of the road.
Fucked up. Yeah, that's
like,
fucked
hey,
up.
you know a billionaire who's got one too many yachts and you want to go steal it? I have all the respect for you in the world.
Do that shit. Yeah. Fuck it up.
You take money from an old sick person who's at the end of the road. You can just go.
You're the worst
yourself.
kind of person.
Like,
yeah,
just
absolutely.
go fuck yourself with a freaking.
Stop.
It's not like,
Whatever you can come up with that's so bad.
That they drill in mines, just put it in your face and ram it like multiple, like just. Oh
God.
Man.
Well, we can't end on that.
Suck
note.
the jizz out of it.
Wow. Well, we do have to end this soon because I am going. You're going down. You're hurting me. My Joel Osteen heart is hurting.
Yeah.
No, but it really my eyes are starting to close. It's late, but I'm trying to think of something to kind of bring it back in with just a memory or.
Well, we're talking about getting. If you want to leave.
Yeah. You can. Here's the thing. Just it's
not that bad.
It's not that bad once you get out of the woods. But you know what? You've been in some pretty shitty woods for a really long time. What you're gonna go through is not worse. It's just different
It is
than
different.
what you've been
I'll
through.
be honest with you.
And it's scary and it's unknown.
I'll be honest with you. If you go get a job at a fast food restaurant and just make enough money to live off of, your life will be 100 times better than it's ever been working in the ministry.
And here's a big why to that. You know this because you've done this when you were in college or someplace else when you had a part-time job. Because you can leave that job. When you clock out, you walk out of Del Taco, you walk out of Culver's, you walk out of Burger King, you walk out of Walmart, and where does that job stay? It fucking stays there. And you get to go home, enjoy your family, do your thing. And yeah, you know what? You're not stoked about clocking in the next day or 2 days later. You're not, but guess what?
Well,
the pastor's not calling you to go lock up or to go clean up.
Here's the problem. You can quit at a fast food.
Yeah.
Like, unless you live in a really out in the woods area.
Yeah.
Once a month you can quit at a restaurant, go to work for another one.
Down the street.
And a year later, you'll still have a job.
Yep. It's true. It's true. And, there's people that want to have their conversations about the job market and whatnot. And I'm not here to disagree with anyone, whether it's good or bad. The fact is, there is work out there to be had for people that have a work ethic like we had to have.
If you have any work ethic,
yeah,
you can go to any entry-level position and you will have at least a $10 or $12 an hour, depending on where
easily.
you live, job. Mm-hmm. And that, honestly, if you can live frugally, that'll pay your bills long enough for you to get to where you need to go.
You can do it. So anyways, that would be my plea to so many people that I've seen. People that maybe I don't even know who you are, but like you're in that place where you're like, I don't think I can make it. You can make it on the outside. And a big part of that is what we were taught and what we learned is the world is a big, scary place. It's not as big and scary as you've been taught it is your entire life.
The church is much more frightening than
much scarier. Yeah, that's the note to end it on. The church is much more frightening than the world. Really.
It is.
You're absolutely right.
90% of the people in the world are just wonderful people. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're wonderful because they're not trying to be anybody.
They're just being them. Yeah. Yeah.
Even the biggest assholes you'll ever meet are great people because they are not faking it.
Because they're just 100% themselves.
They are
asshole.
Who they are.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the note we're going to end it on. I know there was another subject that you really wanted to approach, so I have to apologize to my brother now.
It's okay. You come watch it on the Andy Hardy Show. It's great.
All right, yeah, I'm sure. He has a podcast, by the way, the Andy Hardy Show. It's fucking terrific.
It's amazing. We post so random. It's crazy.
They do. It's good. But we'll end it with that. There was I know we were all over the place from growing up in Indiana and Missouri to the IFB to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea to being on a bridge. All of that. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm super, super grateful. Hope I didn't fuck up your knee right now.
No.
No. But I'm very grateful. Andrew has been good God, just a huge encouragement. And
I bought you a decanting set.
He did buy me. I'll put it on the podcast at some point. I didn't tonight, but he's been a huge encouragement and an incredible inspiration to me. And some people that might be odd because he's my younger brother to some people, but I have looked up to Andrew for a long time. He's stepped out and done things that have inspired me to do. I wouldn't say the same or similar, but inspired me to find. What is wrong with you? Inspired me to find my own path. I think that's the best way to put it. Is this guy has really inspired me to figure out my own life, find my own path, and do my own thing. And I think in the end, that's what we all need to find. We all need, whether we need an inspiration from a sibling or our offspring or our spouse or whatever, find that inspiration to do your own thing and be your own person and go your own way, and you'll always be happy.
I want to say along with that, I tell people, you are your greatest asset.
That's good. Yeah.
Because no one else is going to get out of bed and pay your bills. You're your greatest asset. You have to take care of yourself.
That's so good.
And I fucked my body up and I fucked my mind up for so long, being anybody and everybody's bitch who had the title of pastor.
Yeah.
And the reality is that I just about in many cases destroyed the greatest asset I'd ever have.
Which is yourself.
And you can't afford to do it. Like, you've got to take care of yourself.
You've got family, you've got friends, you have money, cars, houses, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's you.
Yeah.
It's just you.
You're your asset.
Yeah.
You're the person. If you make $70,000 a year, they're not paying $70,000 for anything except
to your family or
they're paying it for you, so you get out of bed and go do your thing every day.
Yeah.
And if you're not making sure that all your bases are covered before you get in the bed so that you can do your very best every day, then you're not doing right by yourself. Yeah. You are not protecting your greatest investment, your greatest asset, which is yourself.
And that comes back to
don't be afraid to invest in yourself.
Fuck yeah. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. And that comes back to you can't take care of others until you've taken care of yourself. That includes
the
family.
Oxygen mask thing. Yeah,
exactly.
If you are dead, you don't do anybody any good.
Right. How are you going to save your kid?
Right. You take care of yourself. And if you're mentally unstable, if you're unbalanced, if you're unhappy, you are the provider of your own happiness.
No one's going to force you to get help. You've got to get it yourself.
If you're waiting for someone to make you happy, you'll be miserable for the rest of your life.
That's beautiful. It's poignant, it's important, and we all need to hear it. If you're waiting for someone else to make you happy, you're going to be waiting for the rest of your life. And that's not to end on like a negative note. It's to end on a note of like...
It's a reality. We were taught that we came last no matter what.
Yeah.
Our happiness and our needs didn't matter. And the reality is the most important thing in your life is what you need to make every day.
Yeah.
And what you need to make you happy at the end of the day. And the reality is, you probably don't need strippers, you probably don't need cocaine, you probably don't need $100 million. For me, it's typically a cup of coffee from McDonald's. It's $1 from $1.08 in Missouri to $1.29 in Wisconsin. That's what it costs. Yeah. And if I have that cup of coffee, I can watch the sunset and I'm happy.
That's good.
And I know I'm happy. So you find what makes you stable and happy.
That's a beautiful, what you're saying is a beautiful picture to me of perspective. Like, what it is that makes you happy. And yeah, it's probably not hookers, coke, and $1 million, although I'm not saying those things wouldn't make me happy.
They make you happy in certain areas, but you've got to find, like, at the end of the day, what's mattering to you.
Yeah.
What's something you can do and you can experience every day that makes you not absolutely regret everything you did that day.
There you go. That's good. Man, that's good shit. All right, so I don't know how or when, but we'll have to do this all again. We've got a lot of other things to say. Me and Andrew clearly have a lot of things to say. But for those of you that stuck around this long, I'm not even sure, because normally I'm able to see the timer. Andrew was gracious enough to help us. I don't know if you'll see the difference. I'm sure you will, actually. With this, we're using Andrew's camera today instead of mine. So thank you for that as well.
No problem.
And thank you all for sticking around so long for this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. Super grateful for everyone that checked it out. Andrew says, peace to you all. Peace and love. And thanks so much.
See you later. Alligator.
Let it end.
After
Here's
wild
what gets me.
crocodile.
Hang on. Okay, so here's what gets me. No,
Labor-tator.
we're not done. We're not done now.
Oh,
Because you're
shit.
not the first person to do that shit to me.
Who did it to you?
Everyone, this guy knows video editing like a motherfucker. And then like several friends that I've had on multiple times, they let it end and then they want to do their little thing at the end like you did. I just need you to let it end and smile and fucking look at the camera and just let it end. But you can't do like no, like just let it
matter.
It does matter.
Literally, I'm a nihilist. Nothing matters.
Oh my god. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh my god, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
We're rolling, right?
Yeah, we're rolling. Okay, so I'll do the intro and then we'll.
Hello.
No, that's
Hi.
not the. No. That's
Welcome
not,
to
no.
my.
Stop. Fucking stop. This is gonna be the intro, you know that, right? The whole B-roll is gonna be the intro. You're doing this shit on purpose.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
I'm gonna hold it in.
No, I'll do the intro. We'll toast and then we'll get into it.
Oh,
All right,
we're gonna make toast.
This fucking guy.